Hey friend, it's me, the Ebony Otaku, the well-rounded nerd. So, fun fact. Okay, well, fact for me, maybe not fun for you, but I actually already recorded this video, but when I went back and watched it, the lighting was just so god awful. I was like, if I put this out on the internet, I'm either going to get dragged, lose subscribers, or both. So I was just like, you know what? Let's do a take two. We can do a take two. We don't have shame. If you're gonna put a product out there onto the interwebs and the YouTube, make it a decent one. So here is take two. So today is going to be a little bit fun, a little bit of a departure, and probably not as long of a video as I usually do, because I started looking around, because there's a lot to look at in here, at all of the things in my collection. And I've got some weird stuff. Like, maybe globally in terms of been produced, exist out there, might not be too off the beaten path. But I've got a few things I'm like, does anybody else have this? And if you do, where'd you find it? And I've actually got one like co-set of figures that I would just love to know a little bit more about. I've looked them up before, but it just never really found anything. So, you know, go out to the internet and see if the people out there have any ideas, clues where some things may have originated from. Part of the fun of collecting is just, you know, the find. It's the hunt and then it's the find. And sometimes you don't even know what you're looking for and you still happen to find it. And that's kind of where some of these things came from. So, you know, a little bit of story time, which I love to do, and a little bit of nerdy collecting fun. So, why delay? I know why you're here. You're here for this. Yes, friends, this is a Transformers lunchbox that I never used, actually. Back in the day, I don't know if this is still a thing for kids, but back in the day, you were nobody on the playground if you didn't have the right lunchbox for the right property with matching Trapper Keeper and matching backpack. It was a big old deal. So I know they don't do Saturday morning cartoons anymore because streaming exists. Saturday morning is every day now, which kind of takes away from the specialness of it, in my opinion, but whatevs. But Saturday morning cartoons didn't exist just to give parents a 6-hour break from their kids on Saturday. It was one long commercial. You know, like most of the shows that existed, even educational television to a certain extent, it existed to sell products to children. Now, children don't have money, but children can annoy their parents and the adults in their lives for money. That's how Christmas happens, you know? But, I mean, think about it. If you were a 90s, 80s kid, I think even the early 2000s, you know, that Saturday morning kid church was everything. But all of the shows, Transformers, GoBots, Dino Saucers, G.I. Joe, Jim, she's totally outrageous, Gummy Bears, My Little Pony, every single one of them shows was to sell us the toys that went with them. Now, I know that there are toys that go at shows today, you know, but I feel like it's a little bit different now than it was when we were coming up, because literally, like, the whole point of the Transformers television show was to sell the Transformers toys. Like, that is why it existed. I'm fine with it. I love the show. But that's the whole reason it was there, was to sell merch. And you know what? We fell for it. You know, there's a pecking order in the kid society, and where you belonged in that pecking order was completely based on the lunchbox your parents could afford to buy you. But yeah, let's look at this one. This was a fun find. So I've had this guy for at least 20 years, I think. Yeah, I've had it for at least 20 years. And I did not buy it as a child. Like most of the stuff in here I didn't buy as a kid. I was like an older teenager when I got most of these things and beyond. But I wasn't even out looking for this, honestly. Oh, what happened was I was at a mall with some friends and we were just malling, and there was kind of like a swap meet impromptu flea market kind of thing going on, which I'd never seen in just a regular mall. But that day there was. Didn't know what was happening. And we perused. Wasn't looking for anything in particular, but came upon a nostalgia table. And there this was. Now, I cannot remember how much I paid for this. Considering that I was probably late teens, early 20s when I got this. Couldn't have been more than 20. I can't imagine I paid more than $20 because I was broke. 17-year-olds don't have money. At least not a lot. So I can't imagine I paid more than $20 for this. Which about retail, I mean, y'all remember the price of this stuff? Good God. If you wanted a 5-star notebook, that joker was $19.99 back in the 80s. Like, how much are they now? But I saw this and I was like, you know what? Who doesn't want a Transformers lunchbox? And take a look at it. Look at it. So look at the art that's on here. That is obviously Hot Rod, not Rodimus Prime. That's pre-Matrix Hot Rod. This is Metroplex, which Metroplex showed up just before the movie. Hot Rod shows up just before the movie. And up here in the sky, we got some random ones that I do not recognize. A whole lot of things that who is that? Is that? I think that's Ultra Magnus. Yeah, that looks like Ultra Magnus. But then you got where is it? Who is this? Crowman? Like Crowbot? I don't know who that is. I do see, who else? I do see Cup, although he is faded. He is no longer green. Who else can I identify on here? It's kind of like, who is this? Who is that? I don't know who that is. There's somebody, I think these two down here are Blaster and Perceptor. And I have those figures, which is the only reason I think I know who they are. Yeah, but this is, Transformers meets the eye. This is right before the movie came out. So kind of precious. This is pre-Optimus Prime biting the dust. But, you know the holy grail of having one of these lunchboxes. You got to have the thermos. And on the thermos is weird. So, no, I've never drank out of this. It wasn't mine. I haven't even opened it. I don't know what's in here and I don't care. But we have Optimus, of course. I believe that is Wheeljack or Jazz. Probably Wheeljack. So we've got Ravage right here. Megatron. Laserbeak. No, that's Jazz. Yeah, that's Jazz. So the other one's Wheeljack. But where's Soundwave? He's not on here. But you got the tape decks on here. Whatever. Remember thermoses? Do they still make these? Is this still a thing? You got your little, it makes it hot or cold. No, it doesn't. These things, if you drop them the wrong way, the insulating stuff in here would shatter, and then it would never keep your drink hot or cold again. But if you broke it, your parents would never buy you another one. You just sucks to be you. But yeah, you just you feel like you're having tea when you were a little kid. It was fun. And everybody gathers around and pours out. Nobody ever drank out of this. Everybody just drinks straight out the thermos. But this was such a big deal. I don't even know if they make these anymore. It is super dusty. There is somebody's name in here, and there's a kid's name on the inside of this lunch. I never noticed this. And the phone number for their dad. I got somebody's history in my. I've never looked inside the lid ever. This belonged to. I think it says Hosea. Actually, it starts with an H, and it says Dad, and it has his dad's number etched in here. Well, shut my mouth wide open. Hosea, I've got your lunchbox. I'm not giving it back. It's mine now. But what a cool little piece of human history. You'll notice it's very dusty on top. In my old house, this was sitting how they do cabinets in modern houses now. My house was brand new. And the cabinets, they didn't go all the way up to the ceiling, even though they were super tall. I had a 15-foot ceiling in my old house. So this was just sitting up there for 4 years. And before that, it was in a box somewhere. But it's, I have a lot of stuff that needs dusting. That's one of the things about collecting. There's dust. There's dust. Invest in cans of air and those little Swiffer things. They are your best friend. We're going to close this up. And I really do have some kids' lunchbox. I wonder, because you know how moms and wives be. Look, I'm not trying to be sexist here. I am a mom and a stepmom and a wife, you know. But I happen to also be a nerdy one, so I don't throw out nerdity. But the guiltiest party of throwing out this kind of stuff is the wives and mothers. Like, okay, look, I've always given the men's advice. Like, women, come here. Let them have their box of toys. One, there might be something in there from 1982 that is real valuable. It's going to pay for your retirement. Okay, there's that. But two, yeah, I know the whole thing about when I was young, I did childish things. Blah, blah, blah. When I was older, I put childish things away. Yeah, I get that. But the world is a rough place. And it's okay to give permission for a little bit of escapism. Like, you can't let it consume you. Like, if somebody's like being hikikomori, like living, you know, inside, never coming out, getting everything via FedEx and the Amazon and, you know, won't socialize, that's a whole other set of issues. Or if they've just gone like full, I live in video games. And we're not talking about that. You know, there are people who collect baseball cards. There are folks who collect cars. There are people who collect tools. You know, I collect kitchen gadgets. I love to cook. Just because their collection is not your collection doesn't make it a bad collection. Like, give them a timeline to come get their stuff and let them get their stuff. And wives, it's okay. Video games are not the worst thing to happen. It's okay. Like, again, just because it's not your collection doesn't make it a bad collection, and vice versa, men. Just because their collection of shoes and nail polish and the rest of it it doesn't have to make sense. We just have to co-elevate and appreciate one another's idiosyncrasies and build happy, nerdy families together. We good? Yeah, we good? I'm going to back up now. But then there's this. This is a whole other situation. So this I stumbled upon. Now, I do know that I was like 16 when I got this because I was working at the mall. And there was a Tower Records in the mall. Oh, good Lord, I just really dated myself. Tower Records... Media Play and FYE. Back in the day, if you were trying to find like random nerdity and there wasn't like a nerd shop in your town, that's where you could go to find just random action figures and stuff. I mean, granted, like for a long time, like Nightmare Before Christmas dominated everything, but once in a while you could find something really, really cool. And this is one of those cool things I found. I'm trying to make it stay open, so it's just going to sit here. This is Rei Ayanami and Asuka Langley from Neon Genesis Evangelion. Obviously, they're like commissioned models, commissioned statues, and I stumbled on this in Tower. I'm not even sure it was supposed to be there, because if you look on the inside of the box, the whole thing is in Japanese except for a few random words. But this one on it, it says it is... Grimrock Mix Edition non-scale, so they're not like, you know, 1/18 or anything like that. They're just whatever the size the statue is. Action figure from Neon Genesis Evangelion. If you know anything about Evangelion, which I have a ton of Evangelion on that wall, I'm going to go through those with y'all one day, but I kind of like where they are right now and I don't feel like getting them down. But like this is one of those like groundbreaking, defining anime of the last couple of generations. Like a lot of what we get in mech anime and Sacrifice the Kids for the Greater Good anime, which I am looking at you, iron-blooded orphans, is because of Evangelion. Now, before you go watching Evangelion, be prepared to either be confused or mad, because the story is a little all over the place. It doesn't really start coming together until like episode 15. And it is very religiously pointed. And if you can't handle that kind of stuff, just don't go there. But it's a really interesting examination of relationships, people's dedication to a cause, how people interpret end-time prophecy and that type of thing, letting something consume you, or trying to correct a wrong that humans cause. Like a whole lot of really good stuff in there. But just be aware, it's one of them. Anywho, back to these. So you can tell, you know, they're wearing cute little outfits. Asuka is in kind of like a little cat thing here. Actually, they both are. Yeah, they both are in like little cat suits, a red one and a white one. You can tell I haven't opened this in a long time. It sits like this on the shelf. Because I know I can't replace this. I can tell you, however, how much I paid for it. Because I think the price tag, yep, it sure is. In 19 and not something, I paid $19.90 what, 19.99 for this. So I paid $20, but I got a lot of good $20 finds. I paid $20 for this. Now on the back, we do have some English information about these figures. So a sculptor, Kawanishi Ken, who had sold his sculptures mainly at, oh God, the printing. So they put like the wrong color on the wrong color. They put like light blue on black and white. I can barely read it. He used to sell his stuff at Garage Kits sales, it says, or his own website. He used to do like doujinshi, so like risky stuff. So the resin cast kit for Rei and Asuka of Grimrock version produced by using Gainax's amateur copyright system, which is a new system that each amateur dealer negotiates the copyright with Gainax. If you don't know who Gainax is, they're the company behind Evangelion. Another one of theirs that's super popular, well, at least back in the day, Kareshi Kanojo no Jiju, the circumstances of the boyfriend and the girlfriend. Karikano, you might have heard it under that name. That's a really good one. I think I watched that. It's a slice of life romance. And when I was 15, I swear I watched that show like 95 times. I loved it. And I think that they're going to remake it and go all the way through the manga like they did Fruits Basket. Don't quote me on that, but I think I heard that. But they made that. Another big production house you may have heard of is like Clamp. They did Magic Knight Rayearth. I think they did Chobits too, and a few others that you're familiar with. So they're like some big production houses that handle some of these super popular anime. And apparently, according to this, Gainax like did a right system so small artists could use their images. As a result, a number of people could not get this kit, although they desired to buy it. However, after he was chosen to be a production artist of the Wonder Case in spring 2003, the situation changed. Okay, so I got this a little bit later than the late 90s. So I got this in 2003, so I was in my early 20s. Wait, how old was I in 2003? I may have still been 19. How old am I? Anyway, I may have been 19 or 20 when I got this. So 2003. So yeah, that's 20 years ago. Good God. I need to remember that the 90s are oldies now. That's what it is. I'm in denial. So this came out at the Wonder Showcase in the summer of 1999. So maybe I did get it in 99. I don't know. It was 20 something years ago. He was chosen as the 8th production artist, according to this. And he just did a wide range of characters. So, I mean, no judgment. Because when I was younger, I was just watching anime to be watching it. I didn't know anything about stuff being made for girls or being made for boys. I didn't know what fan service meant or man service meant. I didn't know what harem anime was or reverse harem. I was just watching shows I liked. I didn't find out until much, much later that these models fell into the fan service area. But I don't care because they're cool. Because real talk, I'd wear this. Like, if I can find these pieces, I'll wear it. Not on camera. Get that out your head. But yeah, that totally rocked this outfit. But fan service is just, for those who are unindoctrinated, like, ooh, a little bit of this for the audience, and man service is like the opposite. So it's just part of it. Don't let that cloud your judgment on what shows you do and don't watch, though, because live action, anything does the same thing. That's why in certain shows, certain characters always have to take their shirt off, or they always have to be in a bikini. It's just human's gonna human. But these were so unique that I just simply had to pick them up. But I've never seen anything else from this particular artist or collection. So if you know anything about these beyond what's on the back of this box, I would love to be educated. But I absolutely love them. Look, they've even got Rei on that side and Asuka on this side. Sorry, I was looking at her, so I thought of her first. But I love it. The box is still in really good shape. But I feel lucky to have this. I'm not sure how Tower... I'm gonna look through my collection and see if I have anything else from this. This is so unique. I don't think I do, because I feel like it would stick out in my brain if I had more. But I love this. But you really want to see something interesting? Well, throwback interesting. Pause. Do you remember the show? I bet you don't. So, Reboot, which is where these next couple of figures come from. Reboot was the first 100% CGI television series. Like, all CGI. And funny enough, they set it in a computer in a town called Mainframe that was literally inside of a desktop. and you had heroes of that city. So the enemies were like viruses. There was Megabyte and Hexadecimal, who were always trying to go after Bob and the rest, Enzo and some others, and they protected the programs and the functions of the computer. I feel like it was half designed to be educational, because as I remember it, I think you can still find it on YouTube somewhere. But you can, it kind of teaches you the parts and functions of a computer. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it did. And eventually the show has a second part, which makes no darn sense. But somehow a virus in the mainframe bust out and gets onto the internet. So the internet becomes a thing. So it tells you how old this show is. So when the internet becomes a thing, this virus gets out and a bunch of citizens of, the mainframe gets sucked into the internet and they change. And it's weird if you remember that. Like it's one of those things that like that episode where Prime comes back. It's like, did I watch this? Did this actually happen? It did. But it just, these characters I found are from the We Got Out on the Internet version of themselves. So this is Glitch Bob. Bob was the main character of the show. So he was like the hero of Mainframe, who would always, best Megabyte and Hexadecimal and the rest. But when he gets sucked into the internet, he turns into Silver Surfer for some reason. This box is so beat up because it's been moved a bunch of times. The reason I have not unpacked them is not because I think these have any real value. I don't think they do, but it makes them easier to stack and store. Because the box is wrecked. So if it did have value, it's kind of out the toilet. Because I'm sure one exists out there that looks way better than this. But he has his, like, if you look in here, he's got his little surfboard. So, like, oh my God. See, this is why I think they were trying to teach kids about computers with this show. They surf the web. Yeah. But his transformation is not so crazy because he's an adult. He starts as an adult. He ends up as an adult. This is where it gets stupid. This one was a little boy in the first half of the show. And then they turned him into a whole man, like, in an instant. And never explained really, like, why Enzo turned into, what they call him, Matrix. Like, literally, he's like I've got it. I actually have. Where is Enzo? There's Bob. I'm looking at a wall. Y'all can't see. Bob, the lady whose name I forget. I think Enzo might actually be out of the package somewhere over there. But yeah, I do have Enzo. I have all of these characters this size and in their original forms. And you know where I got these? This one and this guy here. I got them at KB Toy Store. Yeah, I know. Back in the, I just dated myself. So when I was another place you could go looking for random nerd stuff or off the beat toys, at least in my neck of the woods, was KB Toy Store. Like when I showed y'all around my office a little bit and some of my collection, there's that little Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune. I got those at KB Toy Store. A lot of the Sailor Moon dolls that I have, I didn't order them. There's only a couple I got online. I got all of them except for, like, let me see. The Sailor Jupiter I had to order to complete my collection, and Sailor Saturn. The rest of them I got at KB Toy Store. You could find stuff like this. They just carried everything, and it was cool. Do toy stores still exist? Is that still a thing? If it's not, I'm sad. I mean, I know Walmart and Target and all that exist, but like the dedicated toy store. I know of one toy store in my hometown. One. And they don't sell stuff like this. But they do sell a lot of old toys, like blocks and that kind of thing. That little scooter that you sit on and go, woo, and it goes. Yeah. So, I don't know why they turned the 12-year-old into a 45-year-old man. But that's a thing that happened in Reboot. But I loved that show. My dad loved that show, too. I've told y'all before, my dad's the reason I love animation. He loved animation. I inherited that from him. He loved horror. I love horror. It's just, we are parents. Get over it. You are. But I feel very fortunate because when I went through my collecting, there was never, ever a moment where my mom was like, well, I'm throwing out all your stuff. Now, some of my clothes she threw out. But, like, stuff like this was always safe. Thank God. Weird things, right? Just a weird amalgamation. It's crazy what you can collect over the years. So I want to hear from you. What's the craziest thing? Keep it PG. There's kids out there watching. But what's the weirdest thing in your collection? I've got some cool stuff. I think I might do this again and go through some more of the interesting things that I have collected over the years. Like I mean, one of these days I'll make it through the whole collection back there, but just the really cool, like, weird things. Once in a while, I'll bring some of that out, and I would love. I wish that YouTube in the comments would let you leave pictures, because, like, especially like when I leave up, images of stuff that I'm painting and my action figures, I would love to see yours as well. But YouTube hasn't decided to put reverse image sharing on their site yet. Hopefully one of these days they will, but whatever. But yeah, what's the coolest or most unique thing that you have in your collection? And in the meantime, and in between time, please like, comment, and subscribe. And look, I made it under 30 minutes. I'm so proud of myself. I will see you in the next one.